So if you're a gamer, you'll normally buy games, right? Sometimes there's a sale on, you'll grab a few games that you want to play, and then you end up getting more than one at a time. This leaves you endlessly creating a backlog of games for you to play through. Now as a kid, I used to do this all the time, but the major upside that I had there was I literally always had time to play games. But as time's progressed, like most people, I was left with having more money to spend on games, but even less time to actually getting around to playing them. So we need to set some rules, some boundaries, to what a backlog actually is first. You could easily turn around and say, it's every single game that you own. But that just isn't as fair. If you're a PC gamer in particular, sometimes you'll buy yourself bundles using websites like Fanatical and Humble Bundle, and you can end up getting a lot more of the bloat. So let's just say, for the sake of making things simple, for a game to end up in your backlog, it needs to consist of some very simple, but also very important criteria. Number 1. It needs to be a game that you bought with the intention of playing. Number 2. It could be a gift, but one that you still wanted to play. Number 3. It has to actually be playable. It can't be on your backlog without the actual game or the console to play it on. And 4. It has to be enjoyable. Or at least to some extent. Over the course of the last 10 years, we'll say, I've developed a slight backlog of games that I want to play. Some of them at this point are just incredibly old. Obviously I didn't just randomly start playing games from the age of 15, but that's when I started actually buying them myself. Up until that point, I'd played every game that I was ever given to death, because when you only get one game every few months, you really do need to make the most of it. Now, I have personally gone through and organised my entire backlog. You can see it right here. I've tagged it with where the game is that I've purchased it, if I've started it or not, and then I've also left myself a little checkbox to say when I've finished it or not. At the moment, this list is currently sitting at 239, with nothing completed. Sure, I could have added some games that I completed to make it seem a little less dodgy, but hey, I didn't really want to do that. I want to be able to say, in 6 months, that I've managed to make a dent in this list. Hell, in a year I expect to be at least 50 games in. But that might be me being overzealous. Most of these older titles are ones that I brought with the intention of going back to, so I could finally see what all the hype was about. But, as it's clear to see, my intentions didn't come to fruition. And all I was left with was a long list of games that is still to complete. So here gets to the point of this video. This is a list I want to start tackling. You can see from the list that they've all been tagged. This means it could be that I want to play them for a video, it could just be a game that I really want to play, or it could be a game that I'm planning on streaming at some point. Link to see all of that in the description, by the way. So here is the game. I want to finish one game a month, minimum. I plan to make some videos as well to document my experience. This is something quite a few people have an issue with, and it's something that I haven't really seen too much of on YouTube. So why not? I've set myself some rules. If I'm going to play through a series, I won't do them back to back. This is to basically just stop myself from being tired of the playstyle. I also won't play multiple games of the same genre back to back, for fear of the exact same. An example of this, I've got quite a few first-person shooters on that list. I'm not going from Borderlands to Borderlands 2, or even from Borderlands to Deathloop. They're too similar and it might make me get tired of the genre very quickly. I also have to try and not get distracted by new things, which is also hard, because like everyone else, I love new things that are shiny. Trying to get through an old game when the new Call of Duty has just come out will always be a struggle. Trying to avoid Fortnite will always be a struggle. There's also a limit for how much of this I'll take. Every game on this list, I will give it a go. But if I can't finish it, then that's also okay, and I won't beat myself up about it. At the end of the day, not every game is fun for every single person, and sometimes you get a little bit bored of doing the same thing. So I may switch between 1 or 2 games at a time, and I'm also completely okay with doing that. I think when it comes to dealing with your own personal backlog of games, we all handle it in a different way. Some of us like to painstakingly organise, categorise and list them, over the course of 3 hours by the way, instead of actually getting started on going through them, and others just play until they're content. Whilst neither of these are really the wrong way to do it, obviously some of them are slightly more productive than others. At some point when I've got the hang of this, I may do other videos about how other people can get through their backlogs, but I think for now, I've got to try and get stuck into getting through mine. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit the like button if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and let me know how big your backlog is down below in the comments. Have a good one.